Konnichiwa, hello and welcome. This is Roy at Ninja90, and today I will be reviewing the BanDai Creations BanDai America Godzilla 1954, or aka what they call the first Godzilla figure, or mainly BanDai vinyl. Basically what this is sort of a semi color variant of the original Godzilla 1954, and I will be going over it in detail and articulation, so let's get started. And now here we have the BanDai Creations, or BanDai America First Godzilla, or Godzilla 1954 figure right here before us in all of his giant kaiju atomic glory. As you can see, this is a well sculpted, well detailed figure, although it doesn't have that much articulation because it's just mainly a cheap mass produced BanDai vinyl. But I do have to say, this is a pretty well detailed figure for being a cheap BanDai vinyl, because if you really look at it, especially with the sharpness in those dorsal spines right there, and the way that the scales all throughout his body are sculpted, this actually packs in a lot of detail for being a cheap BanDai vinyl. I definitely have to give it that, because you don't normally see all this accurate detail on a BanDai vinyl. Like, I have certain BanDai vinyls that they look okay and like it's recognizable for what it is, but it doesn't look anywhere near as accurate as what the actual suit would appear on the movie. But this one is pretty spot on close. I'm gonna tell you that. Especially, like I said, the way the body is sculpted, the scales are all individually sculpted on his body, the way the dorsal spines just pop. Yeah, I definitely gotta give it to him. BanDai definitely did some of their best work on this one. And we could bring this one up. We can see this is a colorized version of the original 1954. We can see how he has the red inside of his mouth for his tongue and the roof of his mouth, and we can see how he has his very sharp bone white teeth right there inside of his mouth. As you can see, if I can bring it up and get it to focus, and we can see his very beady and menacing eyes right there. As well as the other side, we can see his little bitty tiny Goji ears there as well. So the little bitty tiny Godzilla ears. And also really good paint apps on the mani-pedi there. So good job on the hand claws and toe claws. Also well sculpted knees, although they are not articulated. Also, like I said, really good sculpting and detailing and paint apps on the dorsal spines, looking really realistic for a BanDai vinyl. This is where I would say this figure is impressive for what it is, for being a cheap figure. Now, like I said, this is a colorization of the original Godzilla 1954, so I will do a comparison later on in the video to the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 1954 70th Anniversary Special Edition figure. So I will be comparing it to that, doing it side by side. But first, going over articulation. Of course, the head can only swivel on because it's just basically hollow. They all plug into one another, so we can only swivel the head all the way around a full 360, like so. The arms, all they do on the shoulders, they can just swivel forward and back. That's about it. And yeah, the legs, we can rotate all the way around at the hips, and yeah, Oops, sorry, I accidentally hit my camera. And we can just rotate the last tip of the last piece, the tip of the tail right there. So that's about it. So we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of articulation. That's not much, but I would say this figure has more detail to it than what it does articulation. So what it lacks in articulation, it definitely makes up in detail. So that's where I have to say this figure is impressive, because it makes up, like, I would say it makes for a better display piece than what it does an actual posable figure. And I mean, I swear, like, this figure is so detailed. Like, Bandai literally plasters it. Well, at least Bandai America literally plasters this figure on most of their Godzilla figure packaging. Like, seriously, even though this figure right here is not a Bandai vinyl. I mean, it's from Bandai, but it's not in the same line as this. Like, don't you think it would have made more sense for them to put an actual picture of Kiryu right there? Like, seriously. But anyway, getting on to the comparison. So here it is next to the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 1954 70th Anniversary Special Edition, which is another colorized version of the Godzilla 1954. As you can see, they do have their similarities and differences, especially in the skin colorization. As you can see, the skin colorization on the SH Monster Arts version is more of a reddish brown, where this one is more of like a light charcoal gray. So you can see differences already, and also you can see the differences in the mani-pedis there as well. So on the Bandai vinyl, you see more of like a light weathered bone white color, and on the 70th Anniversary Special Edition SH Monster Arts version, you see more of a tannish, more of a bone white tannish colorization. So we do have that difference going on as well. Of course, the price difference between these two figures are, yeah, dramatically different, technically. Of course, this one is going to be way cheaper. This one is going to be a lot more freaking expensive. But anyway, I'm just giving you guys a comparison. Not comparing these figures in articulation, but mainly in detail, because they're two different colorized versions of the 1954. So yeah, getting a look at those dorsal spines. As you can see, the dorsal spines, I'm trying to get them in focus. Alright. Okay, now I can see the dorsal spines on the Bandai vinyl, or they're more of like a bone white colorization, and the dorsal spines on the SH Monster Arts 70th Anniversary Special Edition Godzilla 1954, or like I said, more of like a sort of like a bone white tan colorization. So you can see like how the have more like a darker, sort of like more like a weathered, like older, like bone colorization here, and this one just looks like, yeah, it looks more fresh. But this one looks yeah, like it's like it's been out in the elements for a while. So yeah, you can definitely tell that the differences. But I would say, I would go out on a limb and say this is more of an accurate colorization of how the suit actually looked, and this is just mainly an educated guess. So you do have that. And of course, how we know these are both colorized versions of the 54 is, yeah, you can tell from the inside of the mounts. They are both red and in color. Unlike this one right here, which is the regular SH Monsters Godzilla 1954, and as you can see when I open that mouth, yeah, it's just black and white. It's just, yeah, it's just all gray. So yeah, there you have it. The similarities and differences between the BanDai America or BanDai Creations First Godzilla 1954, their colorized version, and the SH Monster Arts version, which is still BanDai, but it's just more of an expense, like more of a premium figure compared to this one. But yeah, like I said, these do have differences in colorization and in detail for being for both being a colorized version of the original Godzilla 1954. But anyway, that pretty much concludes it for this review and comparison. So, with that said, I will now be getting into my final verdict and giving this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. So let's get to it. And now for my final verdict on the BanDai America / BanDai Creations Godzilla 1954, aka First Godzilla figure here. If I have to give this one a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give him a drum roll, please. A very well deserved fair but square, knocked out of the park, 5 out of 5 stars. Why? Although this one does not have very much articulation, and we cannot expect that from a BanDai vinyl, so I'm not going to take any points off of this one for articulation at all whatsoever. So I'm definitely cutting it some leeway in that area. But however, what this one lacks in articulation, it definitely makes up for in detail, and that's what I was really talking about with this one. Is this one to me has a lot of detail to it for being a very cheap BanDai vinyl, and yeah, it looks really good. I would say it's even close to being comparable to a miniature X Plus figure. That's how detailed I feel like this one is. Now, of course, it's not gonna have all the sharp bells and whistles that an X Plus figure is going to have, so I'm not like directly trying to compare it to that. I'm just saying it kind of almost sort of can fill the gap, sort of, because it looks really good for what it is. That's what I'm trying to say, and it's really hard to go wrong with this one, especially for the $15 price tag. So yeah, $15 for something that looks as well detailed as this. Come on, that's a steal. So yeah, my thoughts on this figure is relatively positive, and that pretty much wraps it up for this review. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far into the video, your viewership is much appreciated. That really helps out this channel a lot, and if you want to help out this channel even more, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to help out the channel even more beyond that, feel free to share this video on social media like Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, or even at slap.com for all you Victorious fans out there. But anyway, yeah, that pretty much concludes it. And as always, love you all. Stay safe, take care. God bless. Stay positive, stay powered up, and peace out.